yeah, it's an all cats night celebration.
Wow.
I couldn't resist. Every once in a while.
Kitty committee. I can't believe you went with itty bitty kitty committee.
What am I gonna do?
That was a T-shirt
Monday.
in Myrtle Beach, if you remember.
Say what now? I have no idea.
That was a T-shirt when we went to Myrtle Beach.
Wasn't me. It's September 18th, 2023.
It is
Monday night, EriDan Film Festival, a chance where we gather family and friends and foes. Maybe, I don't know. We talk movies.
Yes, tonight it's Superman.
Yeah, so our color theme here is very appropriate.
Yes.
Superman, the movie from 1978.
We were 8 years old when this came out.
We were. And I don't think I saw this in the theater. I
definitely did. I remember going to see it.
Maybe I don't remember yesterday, so I can't really say. It's a distinct possibility. But, Christopher Reeve, singular, stars in this classic tale of the Man of Steel. And so we will discuss and unpack all the wonderful elements that go. We will discover if Christopher Reeve really just has a yearning for bad time travel theories. He's like, wait, you got a movie with a bad time travel theory? Sign me up.
All right. I forgot that. This is not exactly a time travel movie. That scene, interestingly enough, that scene was actually from Superman 2.
Oh, wow.
And they put it in Superman 1.
I'm confused now.
I know.
You're going to have to explain that.
All right. Well, there's a lot to explain.
But
we have a lot of guests.
EriDanLive.com, join the conversation. This is the night to join us. If you've been ever thinking about it and you haven't, you want to be here because we're going to choose the double feature tonight.
We are, and only people that are in the comments or on the show get to be.
You got to be here to get your name on the wheel for a 1 in, I don't know, 7 chance to watch to pick the movies. So this is a very important night. But we're going to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about the TV show that we're watching for next week. It's a good thing. It's a good night. So good night. See you later. Bye.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
And it's Dave.
Mr. Luthor! Mr. Luthor!
Oh my gosh.
I'm used to movies that have really bad and obvious musical cues, but this movie had to take the cake.
And talk about the extremes of the most epic entrance music of all movies. And
Eric, get your tuba out.
I know, seriously.
Did you realize when you were playing the tuba that you were basically the soundtrack to twits around the world?
I wish I would have recognized that I could have practiced my Otis theme and just walked behind teachers while they were walking through the halls. Wow. Amazing. So there's there's so much more to go. Let's just bring in Scott.
That's Scott? Yes, it's Scott.
It's Scott. As a baby, he'll grow. Bring Scott back. What? I see this as an absolute win.
Oh my God! Maybe he had a glandular problem like that guy in Family Guy.
There's a lot of Otis problems. This movie has a lot of Otis. There's a lot of problems in this movie.
There's a lot of problems with this, Mr. Luthor.
Stop dating
I don't want to give
superheroes.
spoilers about my score. I'm not going to give much spoilers about my score. But
why does Marlon Brando pronounce it Krypton?
By the way,
because he didn't learn his lines.
Apocalypse Now, 2 years beforehand, we know that he was the real Lex Luthor. That's not hair. That's not real hair, Mr. Brando. It can't be. God. All right. I promise quieter.
Dave, we have your clicking again tonight.
I don't know what it is.
He's writing a novel. He's writing.
There's nothing clicking here. It has to be some electrical thing.
I just said I promise I'll be quieter, and you muted me. So thank you.
I only did that because I thought maybe it was you. Sorry.
I think it's just how well we all get along. There's so much clicking happening. It's just all like it's the vibe. Speaking of which, All right,
Oh.
Amanda.
Oh, she's
This is
dressed in all
Amanda
white like a
wearing glasses.
Kryptonian.
Woo, this was certainly a movie.
Kryptonian.
This was certainly a movie.
Yeah, had never seen it before. It was interesting.
Yes, that was my hope.
Some
Wow.
consider it a classic.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well,
No, we'll talk about it.
Yes, the Dark
No,
Knight.
I get it. Believe me.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
had
it's,
so-
I think this movie has survived a lot on nostalgia.
I had
Yes.
expectations because I knew
Oh.
people loved this movie.
Oh yeah, no, you shouldn't have gone into this with
Yeah,
any-
that was a mistake.
And I will say Christopher Reeve was well cast. In my
Yes.
opinion.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Oh,
not
the
he's not a
casting was
great actor.
fantastic.
He is not a great actor. But
He
he
was an
certainly
unknown.
looks the role and he has tons of charm.
He's a jewel
I
in the
thought he
yard.
did a really good job at his movie, and then he came.
Excuse me.
Lois, you don't want to do that.
Yes, I have something to tell you. Hey, lady. All right.
How about when the pilot looks out the window and sees him with the airplane on Air Force One, and he goes, "What's going on?" He goes, "Fly, just fly." It was like that was definitely a voiceover. It did not match what the guy was saying right
Well,
before that.
the entire all of the dialogue of the teenage Superman was dubbed by Christopher Reeve, which the actor was not happy about.
Yes, and not only that though, for the TV version, which is available on DVD or Blu-ray, it's like a 3-hour version.
Brittany is here as well, so that's good. All right.
Okay,
We got some people in the chat.
Everyone has opinions.
They used extended scenes with the actor as a teenager, and Christopher Reeve had not dubbed those, so it's two different voices. Well, his voice could be changing. I mean, it's like, "Hi, Miss Mama." Hi.
Maybe they
It's
invented
just
AI
like
back
yeah, it's
then.
just like one of the Bradys, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I not to start ripping from the beginning.
There's a lot to rip, but I'm still scoring this.
But I
pretty high.
feel like creatively, I feel like I wish the and I understand there wasn't the budget, that this isn't where the story
There was the budget. This was
A
the most
huge
expensive
budget.
movie made to its point in time.
No,
Yeah.
wait for what I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
Is that I feel like I would have enjoyed seeing a much more in-depth look of Krypton at the front of this movie, right? Because for the most part, it's 8 people in a room made of ice, and that's Krypton, and we're supposed to believe that was one of the most advanced, wonderful civilizations of all time.
Eric,
a population
they didn't
of
need
12.
paint anymore.
Yeah.
They didn't need paint anymore. It was environmentally safe. So everything was just unpainted.
I mean, I wish they had done either more with Krypton or just not done Krypton at all, because as it was, it felt kind of unnecessary.
I see.
It's a civilization advanced enough to send a spaceship in a matter of decades across multiple galaxies and to encode the entire knowledge of 28 galaxies in a handful of crystals, but they couldn't predict what was going to happen with their own planet.
Well, he did.
And those criminals at the beginning never came back. I kind of assumed that those
Oh,
would be like,
that's the
Oh.
setup for the sequel.
Oh, they
sure,
will.
but like make your movie cohesive in the movie.
It is very weird to set up the sequel in the opening scene rather than the
Yeah.
ending scene.
Yes.
Well, the original ending is when he threw the original end of the movie was he takes the bomb, he throws it into space, the nuclear bomb, it goes off, and then they escape, and now it's a cliffhanger.
See, that would have been interesting.
That was the
I'd
original
down
ending of the
for
movie,
that.
but that became the beginning of the next movie because they
Huh.
filmed these movies back to back. They're supposed to.
You
be
read
done
my
at the same
mind,
time.
Dan.
Oh.
Can
So
you
I just went back to the
read
whole
my
first 12
mind?
minutes of the movie. I did not see any black people. So this movie was whitewashed, literally, including the city.
Krypton had no black people. Come on.
Now,
No,
now
I
my
saw-
wife really
Petty details.
Dude, I have
Superman
so
didn't
many-
appear till over an hour into the movie,
I have so
and it was
many
picked by the
major-
guy who complains that movies are too slow.
Oh my
Superman was the
god.
most boring character I have ever
Petty
seen on
details.
screen.
Is this the first time we get an apology from Adam?
No,
No.
I've just scored high like I am.
No,
This is a fantastic movie, but there are flaws.
I
First
watched it. I watched it at
When has he ever
16 in the
said
theater.
that?
I went to see it in the theater at 16. I'm pretty sure it was Beaver Valley Mall. It could have been the BG Plaza, but I think it was Beaver Valley Mall.
It was, I remember.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
But I remembered at the time when that stupid song came on, I went,
Oh.
what in the world is this?
Oh.
Piece of junk in the middle of this movie.
Oh, Can You Read My Mind?
Yeah.
She was supposed to
Random
sing that.
poetry recitation.
No, that was originally a song. She recorded it. I wonder where that cut is. Margot Kidder recorded the song, and they were going to have her sing. That was going to come out as a song, and they said, "No, this sucks. Have her read." That is,
read it.
I agree. That is. Can you read my mind? Can you know what I am
And
shaking?
it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
It makes no sense.
The fact that they could, she can fly if her finger is touching his finger.
Yeah, she's supporting her entire weight on her finger.
Right. But as soon as they go like that, she can't fly anymore. But I can fly. I can't fly.
Yeah,
And in what world does making the Earth rotate backwards turn back time?
Guys,
I mean, that's like a DC Comics thing. Like Flash does that and stuff. Like, so I kind of get that as like a. But it felt like, but it was just like such a random. Like, oh, by the way, I have the power to turn back time.
I think the reason
At,
for
like,
it
the very
too is
end.
because
It was so stupid.
I really wish I could have watched this movie with Amanda.
Oh, it made me so angry. I don't know. It was fine.
I would
but
have liked to
didn't
just
hate it.
have a video of that.
I wished I could have as well, but we couldn't get together this time.
Yeah,
In
reaction. Oh man.
Superman was like, okay, so my main two complaints were Superman was extremely boring, like, and the plot was stupid. So like Superman, I like read a lot of DC comics for a while, mainly like Green Lantern focused, but also like some Justice League and other things. So like I'm familiar with like, and like Superman never interested me as a character, but like he could be kind of interesting, especially with the origin stuff, because it's I'm the last one of my race. How do I process this emotionally? And then my dad died. How do I process that? Oh, I find that I'm from this ancient race. How do I deal with that? Now I have to assimilate back into society. And he grappled with none of it. He was just perfect and suave the entire time. He was so bland.
That's because they glossed over an entire 12 years.
Yeah, but like
he was the last of 12. I mean, it's not like there were thousands and thousands of Kryptonians.
But
they
like,
were almost extinct anyways.
But then somehow, after he's been alone for 12 years training, he like somehow is easily able to land a job as a reporter and is able to assimilate back into society. And
well, okay, so this was
But
something.
he still says swell.
This was something that I pointed out that I hadn't considered before. Is they're because part of the really like just awful narration teaching that he's getting from Dad is about all the advanced knowledge about the universe and other solar systems and all this stuff and all this great knowledge that has been included on all these crystal diskettes. I don't know. But I'm like, I've always, you associate Superman with a lot of things, but I've never considered him very smart. It's not like, oh, he's brilliant, right? Because he has all the knowledge of the universe. And it's like, no, he's a nice guy. But like
the weird thing is though,
being smart.
The idea of the Fortress of Solitude was stolen from Doc Savage from the 1930s. And he was one of the most brilliant people on Earth. So I guess they sort of then tried to make that work because it was like 15 years later.
But
I don't remember him having
being super intelligent. He doesn't have super intelligence. It's not that he's not Otis.
Mr. Luthor.
He didn't have any tuba in his theme.
Oh, he's
And they also
would have improved.
They also do the same thing with Batman though, because he has the Batcave and the supercomputer. But like Batman's the world's greatest detective. His greatest weapon is his mind and his body. He's the
but did he have all the knowledge of all the galaxies and all the planets, or he had the knowledge of Earth?
Well, see,
They gave him the history of Earth.
It is there. No, it's in while he's
very explicit in the narration. Yeah.
Does he say that?
Yep. He says.
I think he's just like sure he was like told all of everything, but like he's just a normal guy. He can't remember all of that, so he just forgot.
In one super ear and out the other.
Yeah, it's just a lot to keep track of.
Jerry Seinfeld was very clear that he had super humor.
Yeah, he has to have super everything.
Keep in mind too that this is an era of superheroes that is before movies like The Dark Knight Returns, The Killing
This is
Joke.
the first real movie.
Yeah, everything that made things grittier and more realistic, which is saying something like where these are not just superhumans.
Gritty.
I don't need it to be darker. I thought it was charming in its way.
Yeah.
I just felt that some of the whole like Lex Luthor's okay. I can understand if you have a sufficiently advanced civilization, you can suspend disbelief and say you can build a spaceship that can travel across multiple galaxies in a matter of decades.
Yep.
That debris would somehow also travel over that same distance in a matter of decades makes no sense whatsoever. and that Lex Luthor would somehow be able to figure that out and say, well, of course, because this came from the planet Krypton, it would therefore have radioactivity that would be fatal to Superman, with no knowledge to go from to base that on a single interview.
That really bugged me this time.
The focus of this movie was not trying to convince you that it was real. The focus was trying to get you out of this campy era of superheroes, especially in media that had started with the Batman show, and actually see how you could transcend that. And the effects were kind of like the big thing in that, right? The story was very much pulled from the comics, and it was still kind of standalone. I'm sorry, it was really, they didn't really tweak it at all. There's still this old nostalgic at the time, like optimism and humor, because that's kind of what Superman was supposed to be for everybody back then.
I get that, but I'm going to give this the same rating I would have given it when I first saw it as a 16-year-old.
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying what it is.
Okay, so there was a term, I can't remember what it was, that they kept using. I got to find it. It was like Ververschnuggen. I forget what it was, but Richard Donner has it. Yes, Richard Donner has a sign. I'll look it up in a minute. Richard Donner has a
vermissilitude, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a word.
That's a word.
And it
Vermisschnuggenfliegen.
Dan, you would tell us if you were having a stroke, right?
Verschnuggenfliegen.
The writer part of his brain is on strike.
Yes. And the actor part is too, which means I can't write anything or talk. No, it's you have to believe the reality of, like, all the characters believe this is the reality. So it you know, yes, us watching it, we're like, well, this is stupid, but the characters have to all believe it in that universe. So
like cats.
The thing I loved was the opening scene. The word sedition, the word insurrection, and the word treason are like in the first 4 sentences. Like the three of them are charged with 2 of them, and I'm like,
not get too political, Dan.
It's so timely. And it's like environmental, like he's saying the world's going to end. Nobody believes him.
There you go.
I did say that. Why didn't they just jump in the thing and go with them? I mean, who's going to say you violated your oath? Everybody else is dead.
Yeah, they blew up as he was flying away.
And like, I think generally the idea is like they didn't have time. They only had a tiny rocket, but that looked like a pretty beefy, like weird crystal spaceship. So I don't know. I think they could have like squeezed themselves in there.
No, it was like the raft on. It's like the raft on the end of Titanic. There was no room.
Yeah, it would have thrown off the aerodynamics of the spaceship with all the extra weight. That's fair. It didn't have enough fuel for takeoff with 2 adults.
And don't get me wrong, I like the movie. I don't want to come across as trashing it. It's just
I love
it.
The
has
movie,
some big
and
gaps.
I'm making fun of it.
Some big gaps.
I thought it was.
I think by default, if my dad left me a big green crystal, I would absolutely know that I'm supposed to go to the North Pole and throw it.
Yeah, see, I assume like that was some weird like
do that.
He got like
I'm going north.
But it felt like, because it happened right after his like dad died, but his dad dying had nothing to do with anything else in the plot. Like
he made his dad die.
He didn't seem.
He's like, come on, run, come on, Dad, let's go.
Yeah, but then, like he didn't seem to care that much. We saw him like being sad at the funeral, but it never came back. And it's not like my dad never let me look in the shed, but now that he's gone, I'll go look. No, he just like opened the shed.
They talked to him though.
And there was no like
by the shed.
And it's not like he ever was like, I'm doing it for you. Like there was nothing like ever like throwback to the fact that he never went back. Like he gave money, and otherwise, like that never his adopted parents never.
Hey, Mom! Now that you're a widow and the sole person,
and now that we wait 12 years,
and I can easily fly back here every night and help you take care of the farm. I'm gonna go.
There were a couple of memories that I have of the movie that, for some reason, didn't happen, and I think it might be from the TV version, because when he's running by the train. And you've got the little girl sitting with her mom, who's played by Noel Nell, who played Lois Lane on the TV show, and her dad, who played the original Superman on the first serialized version. And she says, "Mommy, I saw a boy running." And she's, "Oh, Lois Lane, quit with your imagination." And that's supposed to be Lois Lane on the train, seeing Superman run beside her.
Well, that's cute.
That scene wasn't there. And I found it online, so I think that was in the TV version.
Oh, weird.
And then my mom brought up a point, and I kind of remember this too, but it must have been from one of the later movies, where she made his costume out of the stuff that was left.
Yeah, he
The
just
cloth that
appeared
was-
in the costume for with no explanation.
That I was because it felt like
Yeah.
he wanted to do an origin story, but do none of the actually interesting origin story stuff. Because he just warped from like, oh, I have to run across the ice floes, I can't fly or anything, to him flying heroically out of there in a suit, and we got none of that.
Well, he didn't know he could fly. He was taught. He was taught when his father.
Oh, sure, but
taught
we
to him.
missed all that cool teaching stuff.
I
or, like,
know.
how he got the
And
suit.
don't forget that despite his parents both being there when he was sent off, his mother had not a single recorded word to say, apparently. It's all the dad.
She
I have
spoke
recorded
to
all
him.
of my knowledge. I have
No,
recorded
she
everything
spoke-
I know.
She
And-
speaks to him in the
say
second.
bye to your mom.
She said she speaks to him in the second movie because Marlon Brando was suing
Yeah.
them.
The only
they
reason,
couldn't
the
use
only
him
reason
in-
she speaks to him in the second movie is because Brando was suing him for
Vice
$50 million.
And he got 40, so he did okay.
Yeah. I also I think someone mentioned that Lex Luthor didn't appear until like an hour in, and even then his plot felt like very tangential and very stupid. Like, I mean, I know it's like a
get
super
used to
villain
that.
and the plots are stupid, but like the kryptonite thing felt so unnecessary because it was like,
Completely.
oh, it fell into my lap, and then I'm gonna temporarily incapacitate Superman, but he'll get out, and then it's.
But
fine.
I'm going to send the other one
and
to
didn't
to
come
And it
back.
was,
And
and it
the
was
fact
like
that,
the worst.
Yeah, like the Lois and Superman are both like reporters at a news agency. They could have done some work uncovering this plot, but no, no one had any inkling about this plot until Lex Luthor was like, "Hey, by the way, I got a plot. Come here, I'll tell you about it." And then
It was
he
almost Austin Powers like I'm going to hang the kryptonite around your neck, and then we're all going to leave the room.
yes.
and like that it would have
Dun,
even
dun,
if like Superman had uncovered this plot and then gone to confront him, and then he had the kryptonite, that would have been more compelling. But the fact that the only reason Superman had any inkling that this was going on was because Lex Luthor got weirdly cocky and was like, it would be too easy if I just do my plan. I gotta tell Superman about it.
And if the second missile had been going to anywhere but Hackensack, New Jersey, he would have died.
It's a very good point.
Yeah. And then the reveal at the end of like, haha, I'm bald. It was like, I know.
Well,
Like, I
there's
know
a
I've
re-
read the comic. I know like Lex Luthor is bald, like this, like, and I'm sure that comes up in later movies. But like, I had to go back to like see if I had missed us seeing him in the background early in the movie, and then it was a throwback. It's like, oh, it's that guy, but I didn't see him earlier.
Well, here's what happened. So Gene Hackman refused to shave his head and refused to wear a skin cap, and he was supposed to be bald. And so what they decided was they would show, and there is a point where Mr. Luthor, where Otis is cleaning up his bed, like moving things around,
I saw that.
and you find a hairpiece.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there's all these other hair pieces behind him.
Oh,
So you
yeah,
know he
that's
has, and he restyles his
It
real
reminds
hair.
me of the Dick Van Dyke show, Coast to Coast Big Mouth.
Yeah,
That was in the version that I watched.
yeah,
right.
I
That's on
understand
Max.
The
Yeah.
wigs, but it's not like that was a grand reveal. Like him pulling off the wig at the end made it seem like it was a big dramatic reveal.
Well,
but,
it was for people. I guess it was for people that knew the comic because they're like,
But
why
I
is
do
Lex
know-
Luthor not?
but I do know
bald.
the comics, and like
Right.
it's like, yeah, he's Lex Luthor, and sure he has like, okay, he has a hair now, like, but it's an interpretation of him. Like he could have hair in this, and like the fact that, he's actually like, we already knew his, like, if we hadn't known his name was Lex Luthor, and the reveal was I'm Lex Luthor, like that would have been fun. But they'd been calling him Lex Luthor the whole movie. We knew
Mr. Luthor.
the fact that he was bald, like in the comics, didn't feel particularly.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
give
interesting.
Batman versus Superman this. They explain how Lex Luthor got bald. He went to jail.
I remember watching the first series of Daredevil on Netflix, and it was incredibly well done. How you really didn't get who Vincent D'Onofrio's character was until about halfway through the first season. It was such a gradual, perfect build. And in this, it was just like, I am Lex Luthor, I am super genius, I have really stupid plot to make tons of money and power.
I don't know. I kind of like the evil plot. I like the idea of dumping half of California in the ocean and making
It was a very comic book
a
plot.
bunch of
It was,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, but as far as plots go, right? It's like I felt that was plenty
Here's what's
clever
stupid.
enough for 1978.
It,
If
it
he
felt
would've
like
bought that
Austin
land-
Powers.
If he would have
little
bought
bit,
that land and held on to it for 40 years, that's all work. There's people living there now. That's all, like, huge communities now live on that side of the land. I mean, it's not just
At least
vast-
only 105-degree temperatures drive them out.
You're right. I mean, that's Palm Springs, Palm Desert. That's all out there.
Also, Lois is apparently a terrible journalist because when she finally gets her interview with Superman, she's like, "By the way, what color underwear am I wearing?"
And she can't spell basic words.
And then he calls her on it, and she like repeats the question, not like it's like, "Oh shoot, sorry, that was embarrassing." No. Are you embarrassed? Because I want to know what color underwear am I?
Oh my gosh,
Scott's falling asleep.
She was smitten.
Oh, well, Christopher Reeve's acting was horrible in that scene where he's like, I don't know.
It was so stupid.
He is not. He is a mediocre actor. He is.
Now, the only thing I have to say
charming.
is I used to have in my act that I was watching Superman, and he goes, "How tall are you?" About 6'4". I'm like, "Wait, I'm about 6'4". What do you weigh? About 225. Hey, I weigh about 225. I said to my wife, I go, "Hey, I've got the measurements of Superman." She's like, No. He's the man of steel. You're the man of goo. Thank you.
Sorry.
nice. Very nice.
I mean, that was those were my stats. Not anymore. I need to lose some weight and get a little taller.
You've lost about 4 inches.
No, I'm 6'3", 215 now.
All right.
One thing I did temper on, because when I was 16 and watched this, I was really sort of critical of the casting of Margot Kidder, because it was like, she's really not... Why is he drooling over her? I don't get it. I've tempered about that, because I realize, he may have just found her charming. She doesn't have to be a beauty queen. So I have at least come around on that. She's not a great actress, but she's okay.
Woman who's obsessed with the color of her underwear.
And apparently has those very common lead planters.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The lead-based planters. And how did she know? There are certain things she knew about him already.
Yeah, because
like, how did she know all that?
He had just come out. Like, it was pretty new at that point. How did she know? It's like, by the way, you can see through stuff, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've established that."
She swiped right. That was all in his bio. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, maybe she read the comic books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Maybe the later movies like have a payoff for the fact that his dad warned him against meddling with history, and he meddled with history. But it just felt very like Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh no, watch out, you're going to turn back time and it's going to cause problems. It's like, no, he just turned back time. And
I think it's a fairly well-made movie with a pretty bad script.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, in doing my research, and I did a lot more for this than I usually do, because even though this wasn't my movie, it was Adam's, but it was going to be my movie at some point. And I honestly still think we already did it, but that's another universe. Because I'm having deja vu. But the original script that was written was like Batman the TV show. It was like super campy and
the Mario
silly.
Puzo version. Yeah.
No, but even before he was brought in.
Oh, okay.
And then he came in and rewrote what was the idea that they wanted to do, and then they brought in more writers to make it more grounded and make it more realistic for the time. So, I mean, it had humor, it had action, and I saw one of the reviews. It said basically there's 5 parts to this movie. And there's Krypton, which is the first. It's a 5-act movie. You have Krypton, which is the big one. And apparently there is lots more in Krypton that they filmed that didn't make it. So there's another cut somewhere that has all of that. And they did film this as a sequel. Both films were being done at the same time, but then they fired Richard Donner and brought in someone else to finish Superman 2. So then,
which is why Gene Hackman refused to participate in any reshoots for Superman 2, because he wasn't happy with them firing Donner. So they had to use a body double and things for the scenes they had to reshoot with him.
Right, but a lot of the scenes they had already shot in Superman 1. Like all the stuff where he's in the Fortress of Solitude with the 3 other Kryptonians, that was already shot.
I'll be honest, Superman 2 is a better movie, in my opinion. It has more action. It has less of the cringiness. It has a little bit because the whole romance angle was still played up, but it's still, for my recollection, and I haven't seen it in quite a few years, it was a better movie.
Yeah,
Brittany brings up a point.
This is a great point.
I don't know if you addressed her or not, but how normal speed he ran to his dead dad. Like, bro, put some pep in your step. Like he could have picked him up and taken him to the
straight to the hospital.
When we were watching him chase the missile that was going toward New Jersey, and I'm sitting there going to Margaret, going, "Why isn't he flying faster? In just half an hour, we're going to see he can fly a lot faster than this. He just isn't trying. He's just like, I don't want to exert myself. Lois will be fine."
It's exhausting flying that fast.
And I started to say,
he goes from being barely able to catch a missile to being able to fly around the Earth in about 2 seconds.
There actually
growing
is
so fast.
there's a YouTube show called How It Should Have Ended. And that's actually what they did. They had Lex Luthor talking to Superman about double jeopardy. I got 2 missiles heading in either direction. He's like, oh, excuse me, 1 sec. Flies out the window, comes back. You mean these missiles? Yes, those missiles. Oh, God, please leave away.
Yeah. I mean, that, and again, I started to say this before. He picks Hackensack, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Miss Tessmacher's mother lives. Like, why would he pick Hackensack?
Because it sounds cool.
No.
It's unclear if he picked Hackensack or that's just where it was going after Otis misprogrammed the missile.
Oh, that's right. One did get
that's true.
misprogrammed.
That to me was so unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that
Having
added.
to spend an extra
117.
11-7, you idiot.
Yeah, they could have shaved 20 minutes off the movie
My
there.
arm wasn't long enough, Mr. Luthor.
Dun, 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 dun,
There was also the interesting moment where he had saved the one girl's cat from a tree, and she went inside the house, and he's like, "Oh, a guy gave me the cat," and he's like, "Have I told you not to tell us?" And you hear like a slap as it cuts away.
There is. And that's played for comedy.
Yes,
That's played for comedy is that this little girl got smacked.
just
It's a
cut
little
away
wrong.
right after you
He
hear.
caused the girl to get beat.
That's a little wrong.
Mommy, this giant bat guy saved me.
And she grows up to be one of Superman's arch enemies.
That would be a great one, yeah.
Wow.
I learned my lesson.
And that girl
You
today
can't
is my
sell
age.
anything. Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Well,
we're doing this. Are we moving? We're going
As
to.
much as we've made fun of it, I think it's going to score higher than people think.
Well, let's find out,
We'll see.
shall we? Ah! No, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Wow.
why not?
Wait, what happened?
Scott looked away.
Ah!
Wait, no jump scares during EriDan, please.
Jesse's girl. I'm sorry.
All right. Since Adam's not here, we'll get his
5
score
Nights at
later.
Freddy's song.
We'll let
Sounds
Dave
amazing.
start.
I know I've spent most of my time criticizing the movie, and I do apologize to Adam if it seemed like that. It's just because some of the flaws were really glaring, and I do agree that Christopher Reeve is not a great actor. Never was. I think Death Trap was probably his best movie. He really does well in that. He does well in the right role. He fits the character. I mean, Superman is supposed to be a little stiff. He's supposed to be a little awkward socially. He's supposed to not quite fit in.
That's not me this time.
That was me. All right.
Reeve looked the part. He bulked up to be able to play the role without a muscle suit, and I give him credit for that.
Mhm.
And to me, Christopher Reeve does exude charm. He really does. And I thought some of the smaller roles were actually very well cast. I thought Jackie Cooper's Perry White was excellent. I thought Glenn Ford as his dad was excellent. But other than Christopher Reeve among the primary cast, I love Gene Hackman. This was not a good Gene Hackman film. I like Ned Beatty. This was not a good Ned Beatty film. Never been a big fan of Margot Kidder. Like I said, it was a better made movie than it was a script to make. So, and almost all the criticisms I just gave are ones that I would have given it back when I first saw it, was 45 years ago, whatever it would be.
years ago, yep, that is correct.
But I liked it. I did. I remember walking out of the theater going, good movie. I wish they had cut that scene out and that scene, but I liked it. And
45 years from now, I'll be
give-
talking online about this movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm giving it, I think I would have given it about this, which is, a 78, the year it came out.
There you go.
All right. All right.
I'm going to ask my magic Krypton crystal what it thinks.
Just don't drop it in the ice.
Every time I saw Ned Beatty, I thought of
Toss
this.
that behind you and see if it grows.
Oh my God!
You weren't trying to squeal like a pig, were you there, Dan?
So, my friends, I have a story about this.
Oh,
Yeah, I got to watch Steve Martin playing banjo just last week.
What's going on? All right.
If you would just recite it as a poem instead, that would be lovely.
I'm so confused.
So I had a term for this when we were talking about The Raid 2. It's a B movie with an A budget. So this, and I mean that in just pure terms of the script. If you had made this movie in the 60s, it probably would have had exactly the same plot, is pretty much where I'm feeling. But what makes this movie so elevated is the production value of literally everything else. The special effects are groundbreaking for the time. You have John Williams' amazing, outstanding music. Holy crap, no one's talked about that yet. And you know what? Here and there, you do have little quirky moments that you're like, you know what? I actually do. I personally kind of like the little moment at the end where Lois is dead and Superman literally just says, I had to become something more than a man to turn it around. Like, in theory, it works, even if it's cheesy.
It is forbidden.
It is forbidden. I know everyone disagrees with me on that, but I mean, this is literally, and again, this brings up something I was going to trying to talk about earlier. This is still pre-crisis Superman. This is the Superman from the comics who could literally destroy solar systems by sneezing. That is the Superman we have canonically before 1986, where everything went. So it doesn't really bother me too much because that's kind of what he was back then. But yeah, there were a lot of movies coming out like this in the late 70s that were arguably done better, like Star Wars, the exact same kind of idea. Take a simple story and then build on it with all this other PD and production value. And obviously there's a lot more culture in Star Wars, but I digress. I still think this is incredibly uplifting, even if Christopher Reeves isn't the creme de la creme of Juilliard actors. He does a good job.
But he did go to Juilliard.
He did go to Juilliard.
Yeah.
Same class as Robin Williams.
They were roommates.
Yeah, literally. Isn't that cool?
Can you beat your roommates?
Freaking love that guy. So as a diehard comics person and a loving Superman person, I have to say I do thoroughly enjoy this movie, and I can forgive some of its flaws. I get what Adam is saying. So I'm going to give it probably an 84.
84.
To comment on something Scott said, I do have to say, one of the things they really got right, and where the budget really showed, the flying effects were really well done. I mean, you see so many cheesy flying effects in movies. And like the wire work, the wire work was just wonderfully done. His takeoffs looked really natural, and it was really.
I like the slow takeoff. Honestly, is one of my personal favorites. Is the slow takeoff, right? Where it's like right after he saves the cat from the tree. It's not it's just sort of like I'm gonna go now. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Well, they said they used like 30 different methodologies of flying.
Well, they also said that on the poster too. You believe a man can fly. That's the tagline.
Yes. Sorry. And they used blue. His uniform is actually turquoise in reality, not blue, because they used blue screen, not green screen. Now I'm going to give Adam's score before we continue, because Adam says, "Love this movie." I won't do it. It's a classic. Set up the template for how to do a good superhero movie. This and Superman 2 are neck and neck in terms of the best Superman films. It's a 99 for Adam.
Wow.
And Brittany says, now I feel like a jerk.
Wait till we hear from Amanda.
Don't read what happened to the two main actors, Brittany. You'll feel even worse.
So I didn't hate this movie. I just thought it was boring. I have no nostalgia for it, so there's none of that. I also am not predisposed to be particularly interested in Superman as a character. I just find him conceptually not that interesting. So the movie needed to sell me on Superman as a lead, and I just found him to be the most boring lead possible. I found Christopher Reeve, I think played the overconfident suave aspect of Superman very well, but that was all he played. So it ended up being very unappealing. I really wish they had actually like the Clark Kent awkward, I'm bumbling going through a doorway, I'm I'm a silly dude. I wish he had actually kind of been, because that would have made sense, given that he'd been in isolation for 12 years, if he had actually been a bit awkward and kind of stilted. But I thought maybe it's something that's genuine, but then when you cut to him being Superman and having these quippy one-liners whenever he'd save somebody, it's oh no, okay, it's all an act. He really is completely self-assured and suave and has no doubts about what he's doing at all somehow, which just kind of felt uninteresting. It was and they felt like they wanted. I wish they had just kind of not done it as an origin story, because they so much of the movie was an origin story, but it didn't have any of the interesting origin story stuff. And then also there was this cool comical evil plot, but it didn't have any of the rest of the campiness or over the topness to make that kind of fit. It was otherwise just super suave Superman. And I did like there was like the one line that I wrote down that I liked. Well, not the only line, but what I wrote down was when he's like is carrying the ship, and the one guy's just like, fly, just fly. We've got something. And I thought that was great. I really liked a lot of the reactions to like things like that. I thought those were very fun. But and then the ending was super rushed. The kryptonite just kind of didn't do anything. He expressed emotion for the first time, like with 10 minutes left in the movie, and then he just completely undid it all. So it was like, oh, okay, you're good. Never mind, it's fine. And I don't mind like the campiness and like Superman being this like overpowered guy, but it needed to lean into that more or ground it a little bit more, and they kind of didn't do either. So I just kind of was bored by it. So I'm gonna give it a 65.
65.
To your point too, Amanda, like story-wise, this probably is on par with some of the lesser Marvel stuff that's come out the last 2 years too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brittany gives it a 63. I don't know if is my mom watching. Mother, do you have a score, Mother?
What was your score again, Scott?
84.
84.
I guess
it's an important movie.
Yeah, it's you.
All right, so I saw it in the theater at the Beer Valley Mall. I think this is the first movie I ever saw twice in the theater.
Wow.
Wow.
And I remember I had the action figure, I had the trading cards, I had the underoos. And yes, I love my underoos.
Were they
so much so I once wore them to school and convinced someone that I was actually Superman. Because I had them on under. I was like, look, I'm Superman. It might have been Michelle Sanders. Now that I think about it, might have been Michelle Sanders in grade school.
I Superman.
Adam is honestly surprised people are ripping this movie so much. No, I'm ripping it too because there is so much corniness to it.
Yeah.
But I still absolutely love it. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, right up there with Somewhere in Time and Back to the Future.
Brittany gave it 63 cats.
63 cats and trees.
Yeah.
Now, Adam and I think agree on this movie. It's not perfect. That's why it won't get 100 for me either. I'm also giving it a 99 because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I can watch it at any time. I can watch the sequel. I can watch making of. It's just one of those movies.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to say about it. And I love making fun. You know, you roast the ones you love.
Well, that's true.
Yes, that's family.
Well, I mean, I will say this is the most wonderful, terrible movie that we've watched. I mean, at the end of the day, it is like the flaws in this movie are undeniable, and I don't think it holds up. I think at this point we have raised our expectations so much from what we expect from a superhero movie that what we appreciated in 1978 for a new audience, this doesn't hold up, right? But if you have that nostalgia for it, or if you're just a superhero fanatic, all of these Christopher Reeve movies are worth watching, even 3.
Three's funny. It's crappy, but funny.
But I feel like
it also has great effects.
So I mean, at the end of the day, and that's not fair. That's incredibly not fair.
It's not cats.
And Dave has a point too. I mean, Dave's on the show, but he's still commenting.
No, he's got a very good point. I mean, honestly, that section is so 70s, right? That is so like we're gonna sell this as a record, and people are gonna want to buy Margot Kidder.
It's the Superman song.
Superman in her head. I just wanted to look over and go, yes, I can read your mind. Will you shut up?
and don't forget, he drops her.
Yeah, and she's totally cool with it.
Well, maybe he's trying to get her to stop.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yay!
It all makes sense.
Stop narrating already.
Seriously. I mean, it's probably 40 minutes longer than it should be. I wish, you could do a cut of this movie that would be so much tighter and get rid of some of the campiness. I said, I think our expectations are higher now. I think for a new generation coming up, this will get cheesier and cheesier and harder to watch. But I think for a generation who grew up on it, at the end of the day, Christopher Reeve is my Superman, right? Like that's the look I grew up with. That's what I'm used to. I enjoy Dean Cain's performance. I enjoy, even Brandon Routh. Routh.
Brandon Routh is my number 2.
But for me, I mean, for me, it was hard to watch this movie without mocking it while we watched it, right? Most movies I can watch completely in silence and enjoy the movie and take it all in. The things that are wrong with this movie, you have to call out while you watch it because there's just so much happening that's like, what, how, why, this, that, the other thing. There's just a lot, but still worth watching. Still, it's iconic. I will say that. So I ended up at an 80. All of that to say 80.
See, and I will say it. If I had been 12 when I first saw this, I probably would have rated it higher. But sort of middle school age. But by 16, I was in high school, and I think my standards were a little higher, and that's where the plot holes just really slapped me in the face.
If I had been younger than 35 when I first saw this, I may have rated it higher. But yeah.
Well, I was 8. This had a very strong impression on me, and I wanted to be Superman. Like I was like, that was, you look at Seinfeld. Every episode of Seinfeld has a Superman reference in it. Every single episode, all 180 episodes, there's a Superman reference, whether it's something on, in the background or he says something or something he's wearing. So Superman's a big deal to comedians, apparently.
So, good. You said Wade sent a score in.
Oh.
Wade did send his score in. My mom, I was supposed to call her before the show and I forgot. I texted her and she said, yes, I asked you to call me before the show. She gives it a 90 due to good memories.
Woo, there you go.
She took me. She was there when I was 8 years old, seeing it in the theater.
Well, there you go.
I think it played. I saw it twice at the Beaver Valley Mall, and then, if I'm not mistaken, it came to play at the cinema downtown Beaver Falls.
Oh,
because they would get like movies on the second run. There used to actually be second runs of movies back then.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they only had the one screen and it was cheaper.
For everyone's scores, next time I get to pick, I'm picking possibly the worst movie ever made, and I'm serious about it.
Nobody trashed this movie, Adam.
It got pretty good scores.
63.
Wade was flying.
I said, Adam, for somebody whose movies have received a 1 from you, I don't think anybody has trashed this movie.
Yeah, my last movie pick was Cats. It got a 1. Like, you don't get to complain about people rating.
I don't think you complain about the ratings here.
Here's what Wade said. Wade said, getting ready to fly off to LA. I like Gene Hackman as a bad guy. I remember seeing this on the silver screen. Oh, you saw it on the silver screen.
Ooh.
It was impressive for 1978.
1954, say?
And it still holds up okay. He gives it an 80.
For what it's worth, Adam,
8-0.
The AFI, the American Film Institute, agrees with you. Superman is the number 26 character for 100 heroes, 100 villains for 100 years.
He's a villain?
I rate the character much higher than the movie.
Yeah.
The character is ranked at 100, is ranked 26 of the top 100 heroes in movies by the American Film Institute.
Yeah, but that's not the movie. That's the character.
I'm trying to give Adam a win. Can we calm him down?
He got a great score on this movie.
He had 299s in this movie, in multiple 80s.
Yeah, that's gonna.
I'm trying to make him feel better.
It's gonna.
Adam said he's not feeling well to start with, so
maybe that's
maybe it's the cold medication.
Close to Krypton.
So
maybe
we have
watching the movie.
A 3-way tie.
Whoa!
Superman tying with Scott Pilgrim versus the World and Up a Page with October Sky. All three coming in with an 82 exactly.
That's a good score.
That's quite a good score. Yeah,
that's almost first page. In fact, it could be first page if you rearrange the tied ones.
Well, yes, but I do the tied ones alphabetically.
You went alphabetically.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, did you make a title card for this? Did we do a title card?
Oh my gosh, you're right. We never actually. We were so excited to jump in. So $55 million, $300 million budget, 94 from the critics, 86 from the audience, 82 from us. Not bad. Totally.
All right. So just so you know, $55 million in today's money is $258 million. 259 really, if you round up by $5.
Wow.
Or 5,000.
So the whole movie of Superman was still done for less than the budget of the first 20 minutes of Indiana Jones 5.
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right.
Adam, I agree with you, but I think Somewhere in Time is better than it got too. Adam, you didn't write the movie.
As he said, he's in a mood.
He's in a mood. That's okay.
I'm not in the mood. It's everybody's nap time. We're all gonna go to bed soon. It'll be okay.
It's only 5:50 here.
You know, Dan, we need to know if your mother would like to be in the double feature wheel.
That's what she said.
Dun, dun, dun. And I'm assuming Brittany does. So obviously, we will spin the wheel to determine our double feature for 2 weeks from now. So this is not anything that you need to watch this week, but you have 2 full weeks to watch a double feature. If your name comes up on the wheel, please make sure at least one of your movies does not have to be purchased and is available on some streaming service somewhere. That's what we ask. Scott and Wade have already gotten to pick a double feature in this cycle, so they're off the wheel.
What?
Yeah. You picked
What? No way.
That was like 2 months ago.
the Raid 2 and the
Yeah, that's how it works.
Ugly.
Every month we do
Yes.
one.
We only
We
get
just
to do
relaunched
this
it.
every month.
Okay, but I was 2 months ago. Why am I not back on the wheel?
It's a different wheel.
Because the wheel
a
gets
different
reset
wheel.
after everybody gets a
go
shot.
on.
Yeah, everybody gets a shot before we put you back on. So no double feature for you. La, double feature time. Dan, any
Well, let's see. She
signs?
says she would be on it.
She would be on it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Jab that.
Awesome. All right. I think I've got everybody, but if you're in the chat and you're, this is going to be Adam, right? By the way,
The
It's gotta
3
be.
movies in a row.
1,000%. This is going to be Adam because this is what
And he's
happens.
going to get his revenge on us.
This seems to be how this works. When
Super
you get
Troopers
the movie,
2.
and then we do a double feature right after. You get the double feature.
Super Troopers 2 and Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh man!
Or how about Five Nights at Freddy? Oh, it hasn't come out.
No. Superman 3 and 4.
Oh,
No.
Oh yeah.
I know it's rated lower, but Superman 3 might be worse than 4, even though 4 has a lower rating.
Superman.
No, Superman 4 is horrible.
has
Superman-
Nuclear Man.
Superman 3's actually got some humor in it.
That's the problem.
Richard
It's
Pryor.
Superman 3 is trying to be campy, and it really hurts.
Okay,
it.
so the other day, real quick, we were talking at work about a thing where they were rounding the instant offers we were giving for cars. They were rounding them up. And I said, what if we round them down and we hire Richard Pryor to come in and take a few cents off each one? And 3 of the people that were older laughed, and the other people said, wait, that's Office Space. It's like, okay, they're similar plot lines.
That is correct.
All right, sorry.
All right. Can we do this now?
All right.
A little
Shuffle
asides?
them. Shuffle them.
I did shuffle.
I'm afraid. I'm
I
very
can,
Comes at
afraid.
him.
you can tell that these are not on the order that they are listed to the right. So I already did a shuffle.
All right.
I hope
Adam.
Dan's mom gets it.
Let's find out. Here we go.
Adam.
Oh my God.
Oh! Oh, there it is.
Wow.
How about
I'm
that?
still picking freaking Twilight Zone episodes.
Twilight Zone, the movie. What else?
You could,
You know,
I can pass till next month. No, I'm kidding.
I hate
No,
to
you
do this
passed last
again.
time.
Let's respin. I know, because I'm still picking. I haven't gotten people my fullest of episodes yet. I don't
Alright.
have time to deal with this. So let somebody
Give
else
it
go.
to me.
That's
I
right.
will do
I
it
could
for you.
pass it around, but do I trust Scott to use it wisely?
All right.
With great power.
Well,
I
Scott's
learned
not
my
on the wheel.
lesson
He's not a
last time.
candidate.
All right.
Yeah, no, he's not enough.
All right, now Adam's going to get it.
There we go.
Here we go. I reshuffled. I removed Dave. I reshuffled. Whoa, and my internet's goofy.
It's too
apparently.
intense. The wheel's too
Oh
intense.
man. Oh, it's possessed.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
man.
You're
Jessica
what's
did
this
next.
internet?
Oh hey!
Be kind
you
to us, Eric.
hacked this
be kind.
wheel.
Be kind. No pirate movie.
Now,
No.
well, I
Pump
feel
in,
like this is such a
blow
good
in.
opportunity because I feel like no matter what I pick, Adam's going to give it a 1.
You gave his movie an 80. You didn't trash it.
I did not trash it.
You beat
We
the
feel
shit
like
out of it.
beat
Then
up.
you
I
gave it
feel
80
like
He
points.
was saying in chat he agreed with Scott. Scott gave it a whole 4 points higher than you.
I know, but I'm just saying I could pick Super Troopers 2 and he would give it a 1 just to spite me.
Oh, there's a good way to
Ooh.
reverse
So in that
psychology.
case, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be nice.
Pride and Prejudice.
Oh man, I keep going back and forth on this. There's so many movies that I would love to choose. that I would love to talk about.
Two-parter Harry Potter.
Huh? Yeah, I'm going to do the next two Harry
Potter
Potter ones.
The two Avengers final movies.
It's Azkaban. It's a good movie.
You know, this is probably a terrible idea.
You could do, Medea's family reunion and
I have a lot.
Dan's wedding video and Eric's wedding video.
I have a lot on my list, and
how am I supposed to live without her? Come on, do it.
Huh?
How am I supposed to live without her? Come on, do the pirate movie. You know you want to.
It's not playing anywhere. There's nowhere to get that.
It's not streaming anywhere.
You can't even buy it.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
are there any racist Chinese movies from the 60s?
Oh, there are plenty.
No, there's none. It's a great
Talking about pirates still. Sorry.
Brittany asked us to message her the double feature. She's in pain and drugs and bed. Night, awesome nerds.
Oh man, she's getting good drugs.
Nanu.
Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna let you guys talk for just a minute. I have so many movies on this list. I'm just undecided.
Are you going to try to have a thematic, like something ties them together, or just two movies?
I like a theme, and I have a very ezy theme. I'm debating about movies that I think maybe people haven't seen before versus movies that I think everybody's seen before.
Interesting.
So while I think about that.
This is insane. Like last night, I was watching something. Like, man, I can't wait to talk about this tomorrow.
Are we spinning the wheel right now? What is that noise?
That's the Dave's noise.
No, that's
Sorry.
serious clicking.
You know, I think Dave. Did you get a pacemaker? I mean, it almost sounds like it's something internal.
He's got his own wheel.
That's what it feels like.
He's playing the home game.
It's a pacemaker from the Wild Wild West universe, so it's all mechanical.
Either that or it's the worst Morse code ever.
Very fast.
I said last week. It sounds like you're playing. I remember thinking I said last week. It sounds like you're playing a flash game and you clicked out accidentally. And the space bar stick.
Right. Yeah. More or less, yeah.
I could dig it. What was I watching that I was like, oh my god, I have to talk about this.
I'm not going to mention the pilot. Wait, does this count?
We did go see Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, what'd you think of it?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't quite as good as it was hyped to be. Because some of the reviewers were like, "Oh, the best DC movie in years," and maybe it is, but it was good. It's worth seeing.
It's got an audience score.
Oh, I know why Adam's not here. The Saints are playing.
The Aints.
And so are the Steelers.
The Saints.
Yep.
Well, Steelers playing is arguable after last week.
No spoilers, folks. I'm going to start watching it once we're done here.
But Adam, Scott, what about the Seahawks? They looked like crap last week. They had an awesome game this week.
Right? Isn't that crazy? Barely won in overtime.
I am going to join live.
Cue it up, Eric. You know you've got it.
I don't know. It seems too easy. But also,
Hi, Dad. I'm on a podcast.
Super decisive. Divisive.
Right.
I mean, hold on. I want to see if one other thing is funny.
Eric's just trying to decide which sports movies he wants to pick for us.
There is
Brian's song.
Okay, my mom.
Let's do Brian's song and Love Story. Just some real happy, upbeat movie.
Hoosiers again. My mom reminded me. So last night I was at my mom's having a little Rosh Hashanah dinner, a little late. And Days of Our Lives, I watched 2 episodes with my mom. Dick Van Dyke was on, playing John Black's dad. And it was actually amazing to see a real actor on a soap opera. But yes, I did enjoy it. That's not what I was going to mention, because why would I mention that? There's something else I watched. I'm going through all the apps right now to figure out what it was.
Well, I know it wasn't a TV or a movie, but I am curious to hear Dave's review of the live performance that he saw.
I'm watching the season 2 of Hunters on Amazon.
Wait, Dave, did you go see Marty Short and Steve Martin?
Yeah, Amanda was there too.
Yeah, it was great.
My God, do tell.
It was excellent. It was actually the only criticism I would have of it, and it's pretty minor, is if you've watched their Netflix special from 5 years ago, about half of the material they're still doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it was still very good. I didn't. We were also fifth row center, so we were
my
right
goodness.
there. It was
That's
awesome.
exactly where we were at the Rick Springs.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, so they had their ad lib lines are very well rehearsed. Is that what you're saying?
And also the Steep Canyon Rangers were there, and their fiddler is just amazing. He played this long extended solo that was just
Insane, yeah.
incredible.
All right, I think I have it.
Yay.
I was thinking
Your
about
tone of voice fills me with fear, Eric.
no, I was thinking about keeping the superhero train running and doing 2 additional superhero movies.
Why?
It felt a little heavy.
Underdog and
I was considering the 1989 Batman and Deadpool for the 2 that I was thinking about, but I think we're gonna hold off on those.
Oh,
And we're gonna go a little more nostalgic. We're gonna go old school. In fact, we're gonna go very old school. We're gonna watch Big.
oh, great choice.
From 1988. Tom Hanks, of course. And we're gonna match that up. Roxanne.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I love Roxanne.
1987.
That may be my favorite Steve Martin movie.
We're going way back. Roxanne streaming on Prime Video. Big streaming on Disney Plus.
Interesting.
Oh, there you go.
70s, and you said this was more old school?
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Batman
Considering
came out 2
Eric's
years
age.
after those movies.
Most of the people I work with were born in the year 2000.
I am the only one who chooses really old movies, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we say old school, we're talking about ancient Greece.
I've done multiple black and white films. I did The Bishop's Wife. I did Gunga Din. I did Bringing Up Baby. Did we do Bringing Up Baby? I don't
You
remember.
did a whole bunch of terrible movies.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
what you did?
You
What's
think
up,
the
Doc?
Bishop's Wife is bad?
You did What's Up, Doc? Right?
I
Yeah,
love
you
that.
did
You probably more prefer you probably prefer the Whitney Houston version, right?
Oh God. No, I'm talking about.
I almost now, Scott, to be fair, I almost chose The Love Bug.
Okay.
Da 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 da.
My fear was it would be a little slow.
Yeah, I would have split its audience.
It's probably like an hour and 40 minutes. It can't be that long, right?
It does have some slow moments.
It
But,
can't feel longer than Blackbeard's Ghost.
or I could have done Herbie Fully Loaded if we wanted to have a double feature.
Oh no, stick to old school, Love Bug. Don't go to the Lindsay Lohan era, please.
Actually, Herbie Reloaded would have been amazing because then it would have been in the Matrix. Imagine Herbie on the highway, like doing
Mr.
backflips.
Volkswagen.
You take the red pill. You can continue the race. You take the blue pill. You get to
So
retire.
in the movie Big,
Yeah.
my cousin's ex-husband, who's since passed away, is an extra in the background in one scene. He's very obviously in there.
This name drop is sponsored in part by EriDan Film Festival University, corrupting young minds since 1983. We are FU.
It says EFFU.
How can it be a name drop when you didn't mention a name?
Wow.
It looks
Take
like
that
it's a
back.
ball drop from Eric.
All right, so back to what we were watching. We watched some movies that, we watched the Barbie movie again, but let's talk about something more interesting, which is The Menu.
That's on my short list to watch. I really want to see that.
I would absolutely recommend it. I'm not
with the
saying
two
anything else,
writers from Seth Meyers' show, because I love Seth Meyers and his writers are excellent.
but yeah, if that is a movie that you think looks interesting, you should definitely watch it. If you think if you're skittish about watching that movie, you should not watch it.
It looks funny and dark.
It is so dark. And
It definitely looks like a
we
Twilight Zone
loved it.
episode.
We had a great time with it. But it's definitely not for everybody.
When
Probably
Ray
not
Fiennes
for
is
most
your
people.
hero. When Voldemort's saying, I want to cook for you, listen.
Did anybody see my nose?
It's got some twists and turns. It's got a few twists and turns, I will say. I also watched Barely Lethal.
Oh,
which we talked about last week, starring Samuel L. Jackson, Jessica Alba, Haley Steinfeld, Sophie Turbo. Oh my gosh, this movie is so bad. This movie is laughably bad. It gets a 26 on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is being really generous.
But you did finish it, huh?
That said, I had a good time watching it. But it is. Yeah, it's one of those movies you can't not talk about while you watch. Even if you're alone in the house, you're gonna be going, "What?" A lot of that. But I had a good time, But it's not good. But it's
I saw You Again.
You saw me again?
You Again. It's the movie where like the families they have like the rivalry passed down. Like these two different groups that keep meeting each other at reunions over and over again, where everybody from each generation does not get along. And the only reason I saw it was because Betty White has this thing with that the German actress from Young Frankenstein, the one who plays the violin. They both cameo in this movie from 2010, and they try to beat the crap out of each other. It's it's a good movie. But it's like 10%.
They showed a bunch of clips at the beginning, sort of before Steve Martin and Martin Short came out. They showed a bunch of comedy clips from various things they were in. And they showed a brief clip from All of Me of Steve Martin walking down the street with Lily Tomlin controlling half his body. And I'm sitting there going, that's the movie we would have watched if Dan's mom had remembered the right name.
Someday she will have a chance to choose that movie again.
Boo.
Silence. Big silence right there.
Whisper with the sound.
Wow. Anybody else? Nobody watched anything else?
I watched Traffic.
Oh, that's fun. That's a good movie, right?
It's also what I did when I was stuck in traffic.
Wow.
And I would argue, as people complain how obvious the cues were in that movie, it wasn't as bad as the tuba in Superman.
I put them pretty much on the same.
Yeah, you know what? For being one of the most overplayed songs ever, I'll give the Imperial March this. It's only played like a couple times in the movie.
They showed some restraint.
They did. They knew it was important.
But man, John Williams was everywhere in the 70s, wasn't he?
Sounds like Harry Potter.
Yoda theme?
It sounds like someone evil at Harry Potter. And it's John Williams. So
it's called The March of the Villains.
Wow.
I'm a villain!
We gotta get to the chorus.
Yeah, it's like the wacky races. It's Dick Dastardly.
Next time!
Muttley.
Amazing.
Here we go.
Well,
there it is.
nice.
Yeah,
See, there's more strings in that than some of the parts I remember. There were parts that were definitely just tuba.
Yeah, I think in the movie they played more.
It was the tuba player went rogue.
That was what the audience wanted, was the tuba. So they focused.
That's right, exactly.
Like everyone wants that too.
I
Give the people what they want, right?
By the way, the $300 million that Superman did back then is 1.4 or 1.2 billion dollars now.
Wow.
So that was a successful movie.
They should have put it in the bank.
And really, the Superman 2 is an interesting thing too, because with them firing Donner and hiring Lester, and then them later re-releasing the Donner version after they re-edited it to restore all his lost footage. It's just, man.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that movie is when, we might watch it at some point, but my favorite part of that movie is when he goes back into the cafe after getting beat up, and the guy punches him and breaks his hand, and then he throws the guy across. He goes, "Been working out."
Every guy at the gym. Rising up.
Hurting people is fun.
Remember, kids,
Barely an
Superman can hurt
inconvenience.
people. So that means you can too.
Is there a pitch meeting for Superman?
Probably.
They've already written it.
To me, the biggest improvement of the second movie over the first is Lex Luthor is really a bumbler in this movie. And General Zod in the second movie, he's nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, you really get the villain from him and not the sort of, villain theme bumbling type thing.
Even if he does look like a porn star. What? No one sees it?
I'm going to say no. There's not a pitch meeting for the original Superman movie.
Oh.
Definitely
Okay.
more
Disignore me.
modern ones, but
I'm
not
here. It's okay.
Yeah, not
You also need to look up, and I'm not sure if it's available for streaming online, when not that long after Big came out, when Tom Hanks hosted Saturday Night Live, they showed the the deleted scenes from Big, and they are hysterical. That he filmed just for Saturday Night Live. You have to dig that up. I suggest watching it after you watch the movie. If I can find it on YouTube, I'll post the link.
I love me some Tom Hanks. I have no complaints.
That's why Forrest Gump got number 1 on this whole show.
That's still at number 1? Yeah, it is. Nothing has touched, and I did not pick anything that I thought would come anywhere close.
And today I learned that Eric has more than one monitor in his office.
I
Is
have
it
one.
still number 1?
I have a TV above.
Oh, cool.
Yes, but it's a monitor, so
I have one right here.
that's where I have the big spreadsheet of movies.
It is.
I just have
It is
one
on
big
YouTube.
monitor.
Luckily, SNL takes a lot of stuff off of YouTube, but they left this one up. So that one, I suggest watching that after you watch Big.
We won't play it here
Alright.
because we'll get kicked off.
I actually just got a laptop. It's going to have a dual monitor on the side.
Nice. Vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal. It's going to be my blown up Premiere preview screen.
I have been using so I have a laptop at work, and then I have a horizontal, and then I have a vertical next to it. I'm obsessed with the vertical monitor. It's the coolest thing to have as an option.
It's a big tall thing.
It's just fantastic, and like for like websites and email and all that stuff, having that big giant list, I love it so much.
So I have the BenQ monitor that's for graphics designers, so you can turn it.
Yep.
If you're doing portraits. I wonder if it actually becomes a vertical screen though.
Yeah, the good pivoting ones, they automatically adjust the resolution when you turn them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think the one I have at work is live like that, but you can basically set windows to
That's cool.
to be vertical. So
yeah.
Well, now we've really gone into the rabbit hole. I think we're done. I think that wraps it up. Unless anybody else has something they want to. Okay.
Yeah.
You sort of ruined the shock when you go right before you put it up there.
It's longer I'm not even gonna say it. Sometimes when you click it, it doesn't appear as quickly as it should. That's all I'm gonna say. And on that note, go home.
We have our marching orders. Twilight Zone next week.
Twilight Zone.
Big and Roxanne the following week.
Speaking of marching, play that music.
But don't watch Big Roxanne. That's a totally different movie.
You do not Google Big Roxanne. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.